The other day we were talking about, the Malvern staff was talking about what to do for National Poetry Month, and I was kind of joking and said we should just put all the books on sale, 5% off, and it ended up going up as high as 20% off. So Joe is being really good about this. So everybody buy poetry books. Malvern's being just super excellent as a host right now. Yeah. We also have some chapbooks for sale from Smoking Blue Gun. If you don't have your Smoking Blue Gun chaps, they're for sale in the back. You can see me. They are $7. And Scott Hammer also has chapbooks for sale in the back. You can see Scott. If you're paying for Scott's with a credit card, though, you have to talk to me. So, yeah.
Okay. Also, thank you guys for coming out. This is really wonderful. I'm going to introduce our first readers. Taisia Kitaiskaia was born in Russia and raised in America. Her poems and translations are forthcoming or have appeared in Gulf Coast, Colorado Review, Narrative Magazine, and Poetry International. And she is currently a Missioner Fellow at the University of Texas, Austin. Let's hear it for Taisia.
Some of you may know me as Taya, but my name has got more badass. But it's really my real name, right? So don't be gossiping about it. I'm not gonna make any jokes. I'm just gonna get right in here with this first poem. It's called Many Lives. Married to the butcher, I grew happy on meats, marinating in juice when meeting neighbors. They thought I smelled good, licked the salt off my arms. Next was poaching a robin's egg to marry the chicken side once its blue-green eye rings subsided. Jealous rage of the sea filled my mouth with bitter. Then there was a hold on me of indisputable calm. I married the baker's daughter after a fortnight of chasing her slow through Elysian fields on quiet fire. Maidens carried water beacons to me. I was loved in my belief that angels are dead yetis revived. I bled all over the place and was deemed virgin. Finally, I wed a boar who trampled my hands until they became transparent, useless for anything besides magnification of butterflies and other such nonsense, grave nonsense. All my many lives grew into my feet like bamboo, and I worried they wouldn't like me once they reached my heart, which had sailed away on a ship of bombast, of frankincense and myrrh. I was preached unto myself and consecrated. I wore veils and pig snouts round my wrists, christened and astonished by various wiles, helped and stewed, long beautiful hair flowing out the tips of my hair. For I was perfect, for blank and moving people came from far and wide to touch my face, for luck and grief.
Yeah.
This next poem is published in Smoking Blue Gun. And I just like to point out how awesome Blakely and Taylor Pate are. Look at those cupcakes. And when I'm watching Mad Men, they're typing away and making chapbooks and running a press, hosting events. I don't know how they do it. So thanks, guys. This poem is on Smoking Blue Gun, and it's called America. It's America. You can do anything. You can keep a bloodthirsty dog in your house and feed it magnificent bloodthirsty chickens and show it off to the ferns in your backyard. As long as it doesn't bite anyone, you're fine, until of course it tears you open on your own kitchen floor. It's America, and you can stare for hours out a tiny window and wait for a wild eye in the bushes and swell your chest with knowledge of that wildness. It's America, and you can eat nothing for days. Nothing but opium brought by raccoons swilling diamond-encrusted Coca-Colas. It's America, and you can foster children and raise them in your own image until they are risen out of the sewers of poverty, and then you can lower them back down on a fishing line. You can call angels to your table, and you can sob when they don't come. You can eat sardines until the sardines fall out of your mouth, and that beastly dog licks them all up. For it's America, and there is a beast in the shopping malls, a beast parting the folds of your perfect hair, 4 tiny beasts inside that hot house of your nightmares, and a beast that chews your heart and spits it out, then chews again, which is why your heart is so tender and slippery, and why you saw it last night slipping across the bathroom floor, looking for the drain that will take it to America. I recently got engaged. Woo! This tall guy. And all my poems are about weddings and marriage, which is embarrassing. I also noticed a lot of these poems have the word angels and love in them. It's also really embarrassing. Now you know all my secrets. So here's a marriage poem. It's called Husband, I'm a Scary Cauldron. All I ever wanted to be was a thing on fire you could put out in the sea. I put my face inside the word pour and lay there till crustacean. Now I'm happy to be your cactus. I have my own little cactus dreams and troubling nightmares I telegraph to Pope through a passageway in my flower pot. We lunch in there in the tunnel betwixt. How was your supper yesteryear? Doingly, and yours? Too much blood, I suppose, but after all. I lick the walls of my limitations. I love them as I love you. You and I both taste like plaster, the mice inside the plaster, and the ghosts inside the mice. Lucky to be dead, lucky to have lived. I commissioned the minister of dwarves to hammer us into a locket, and he said, okay. Now all we have to do is find a root vegetable fatty to take us to the marriage station. My mother places her soul over our eyes and says, be well, be well. My heart decomposes at the rate of a whale's. Husband, you are the doll's house I crawl into, and the grass loud on fire outside. The dog laps at the fire. It is his belly sufficed. I am taller than I've ever been, but I can hear everyone's cancer growing. We wake nightly and are barely bodied, or slim bodied, or silver bodied, or are branches in the silver streets. In the morning, I will feel better. This is a poem ripping off Walt Whitman. It's called Song of My Self-Loathing, Part 1. I could suck the sweat from my socks and live off the salt for 1,000 years. I could make houses from my snot, and if soldiers were to come and stomp all over my toes, they would die before completing their task. Such is the hideous number of my appendages. If all the marbles of my shyness were released into the streets, no one would ever walk upright again. If everyone else's eyeballs went dim, the sum of that low wattage couldn't hold a dead light bulb to the darkness of my vision. Whole villages have been killed, picnicking in the minefields of my atrocities. I am so self-loathing that I cannot continue, but I will continue out of self-loathing. Under the lock and muck of my confusion, I go running. I place cold hands on my back and remove them, and call myself home to the tiny, dark oven of myself, where my self-loathing is king and queen, and walks with a nightstick in its hands. Drunks give fumbled toasts to my foolishness, and toasters are dumped daily into that river, already thick with dead dogs and lined with raccoons washing their hands. As I have only located 3 thoughts in my entire skull, I conclude that instead of brains, I have enormous whales spilling out of my head, slapping at the shore. Children are afraid of the lopsided way I walk, trying to hold the whale in. Only the most awkward of birds attend to me, the pelican, the dodo, the heron. Once my self-loathing was wrapped in newspaper and carried in the arms of an old woman across the street. But my self-loathing quickly swallowed the newspaper, the old woman, and the street. It is swallowing all of us, right now. There are ballrooms of empty coat racks for every time I do not come to the aid of another. Forests where books run rampant, raised by wolves because I never opened their pages. No one escapes the hounds running from the hills of my self-loathing. My self-loathing is large enough to be a shelter to all, a tent city of refugees. For I planted my self-loathing in the right season, and it grew immense and gorgeous. All right, my last poem is called Wept All Day, Didn't Know Why. Saints are those who do not live amongst the people. When I first met a saint, I placed it tenderly between two halves of a sandwich and left it to the wolves. Suchly did I observe that no animals came to eat it. At last, one deer pawed the sandwich and nibbled the bread. Some birds came over to hold a slice up to the sky like a banner announcing God's glory. By this time, the saint was unclothed with its face in the dirt. I felt sorry and shut it back into its walnut shell. I whispered sweet gospels. I made a proper burial for it on my tongue. For a saint must die in its own language. Then I was like, okay, and drove home. In my imaginary vehicle splattered with bird droppings. I became small from crying. A pulley system geared until it snowed inside of me. Good grief, I said. It was time to bring my hands together over a woman's body and worship. Time to turn off all the faucets God had forgotten about. Long is my journey to all the empty restaurants crammed into a walnut shell. Irreversible is my decision to eat the brown defeated apple on my way to the bathroom. Now nobody knows me. Not even God knows me, he who pares his fingernails my whole life long. Like the saints, I will now be stingy with my love and pave a road out of myself so it may be traveled by those hungry for bread. Night, reckon us back into the original womb. Braid our hair into the branches so we cannot move, so we may be happy. If you see a saint in the road, please put it back.